Good morning. Thank you so much for taking your time again to join today's sharing session. This is actually our second session from IEEE. Last week, we covered how to use IEEE Explore Digital Library to find publications, journal paper, conference paper, magazine articles for your references, for your resources during your research process. And of course, after you have done your research, you have your research output. The next thing we want to do is we want to, of course, report it, write a paper, report it, and we definitely welcome you to publish your research output with IEEE. So generally, we have two options, journals or conferences. So as Ma'am mentioned, for today, we are going to focus on that part, which is actually the after research process where you have your research output, you want to consolidate everything, how to prepare your paper according to the proper format of IEEE journals and conferences. And of course, the submission, the peer review process. So that's the focus for today. So as always, allow me to invite, let's see, where's my browser? Okay. Before I start today's session, I would like to invite everyone to take out your mobile phone. Let's look into a interactivity. So if I may invite everyone to take out your mobile and you just scan the QR code on the screen. On the bottom left side, you see a QR code, right? Please scan the QR code. This is an anonymous survey. I'm just trying to understand who you are, where you are from, what's your background. Some sort of interactivities, because for in this kind of online sessions, it's very hard to invite you guys to speak. So I'm trying to use this as a way to engage, right? So we do have PhD students. Who else? Okay, we do have undergraduate students. So let me bring it up so they can see the results. Right, we have undergraduates, the different years, PhD, faculty, librarian. And I find this is also a good way to check whether our online participants are paying attention. So for example, right now, I think we have over 20 participants, but only 12 of us have scanned the QR code. So my question is, wake up, Alex is here. Okay, so as you can see, we have master students, PhD student, researcher, and faculties. Thank you so much for taking your time. Quite a diverse sort of participant groups. So I'm sure for our faculties and researchers, you are very familiar, as well as our librarians, you are very familiar with the publishing process. For master and PhD students, we hope this part will be helpful for you because as a graduate students, master or PhD, you need to do the research and of course write a paper. However, for undergraduate students, I think if I'm not wrong, if you are still doing undergraduate studies, especially the first 2 years, you are not required to sort of publish. But still, while you are doing the research, you still need to, while you are still doing your studies, you still need to do some kind of projects. Sometimes it's a group projects, right? Not by yourself, but 2 or 3 or even 4 friends, classmates, what kind of group project you need to write a paper. So we hope today's session in terms of that part, for example, the structure of the paper could be useful. Okay, I'll just do a quick check. 14 participants are active. So my question is, the other 10, are you still online? Let's move on. What's your research area or research interest? What is the subject you are currently pursuing? I presume we are doing university studies. There must be a specialty. And not to mention for master or PhD students, you must have a research area, right? So what is a research area? You don't need to rescan the QR code. It's the same QR code, actually. There's no response. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Yes, keep it coming. You may be wondering, why is Alex asking about this? Well, because if you have attended last week's session, we were talking about the coverage of IEEE Explore. The focus is still on STEM, science, technology, engineering, medicine, mathematics. But if you try other keywords, for example, even agriculture, fishery, music, or even if you search durian, you'll be surprised. IEEE actually have quite a number of publications on those subjects. So the subjects coverage is actually quite wide. So in the sense that even if your research is not, let's say, pure electrical, pure electronics, as long as your research has some application or implementation or even the usage of technologies, you may want to consider IEEE as a good venue for publishing, right? So as you can see, most of the subjects are still STEM, science, technology, system management, photovoltaic technologies. This is power and energy, AI, engineering, electronics, AI, intelligent systems, networking, infrastructure, PES, power and energy, encryption. Smart toilet, I'm not quite familiar about this topic, but if you are talking about healthcare, green building, a smart building, IEEE does have publications. Now, the reason why I'm asking this is actually for the next one. Given that you know your research subject, have you used any database or search engine or platform for your study or research? Any database? As you can see, this is quite a diverse. Oh, I think some. Pardon me for the question. What do I mean by database? I'm referring to academic database for technical papers. I'm not talking about databases like TinyDB or MySQL, those kind of databases. I think the researchers plus the students who answer this question must be coming from computer science background. There's a misunderstanding here. CCNA, these are certificates. Those are the ones. But Google Scholar is one popular one. Scopus, actually Explore, Science Direct, Web of Science. This is good because which shows that you have read papers. Although today's topic is about writing, but to be honest, writing is not important. Reading is much, much more important. If we do not know how to read, there is no way we can learn about writing. So have you used IEEE Explore, or how long have you been using it? I would recommend you to look at your phone. Some of us are using it recently. Some of us, it's okay if you have not heard of it or you haven't used it. Because if, let's say, majority of us is, you have used it for more than 5 years, then in that case, I don't need to spend time on that. But if, you tell me you're not quite familiar, then at least I can spend some time to show you the platforms. And this leads to the next question. Now, if you have used IEEE Explore or any databases, I'm assuming that you are using it to find publications to read, right? To find it, to read it. So how about writing? Have you published any paper before? It's not a competition. I'm just seeking for an honest response, just to check your experience in terms of conference paper, in terms of journal articles. We do have researchers and faculties who publish both journal and conferences. About half of us have not published anything yet. The next one is, have you published with IEEE before? What is your experience of publishing with IEEE? Some with conferences. How are you familiar with this concept called open access? In the beginning, ma'am briefly mentioned IEEE now is offering a 50% discount for authors who are willing to publish in hybrid or gold open access journals. So how are you familiar with open access? The last one is just for fun. What are we talking about? Please ignore that. So most have heard of it, but not familiar with it. Okay, so I think in the later part of the sharing, I'll briefly mention about. This is the most important question. We have 21 participants who have responded to this survey, and you will be able to see this question on your mobile phone right now, which is asking, what are the things you would like to know or learn from today's session? Basically, what I'm asking is, allow me to speak in plain English, why are you here? I'm going to take the next 75 minutes of your time. I hope it's not a waste of your time. So why are you here? What do you want to know, basically? I'm inviting you for questions, but of course, please be specific. Do not say, oh, I want to know about how to publish. That's a very broad question. Or I want to know how to publish with IEEE. That's like, I want to know how to become a millionaire. I assume everybody wants to be a millionaire, but I don't think there's a simple answer or a single answer to that. You have to be a specific. For example, Is your question about how to prepare your research paper? Is your question about the structure of the manuscript? Do you have questions on the paper submission process? What questions do you have on paper submission? Finding the appropriate journals? Format of the paper to be submitted? How to respond to reviewer questions? What specific questions do you have? So for this, I will leave it to you. We'll come back to this question in the middle of sharing. I will still leave the form open. You can still access that form on your mobile phone. Please don't close the window. You can key in questions. It's anonymous. And I noticed online we have 38 of us. There's only 21, I think, online. I don't know what the others. Maybe you are here a little bit late. You didn't get the QR code, but don't worry. You can still use the chat box. If you have attended my session last week, you will be familiar with my style. I'm really not the type of person who speak along all the while reading the slides. I don't think you need a slide reader, and that's why I'm asking questions that is more relevant to you, so that I can answer those questions that is helpful for you. We do have a lot of things to cover, but based on our participants' background, based on your sharing, I'm not going to cover everything in details. I'm just going to start with a very brief introduction, especially for those who are new to IEEE, about IEEE, IEEE Explore. We'll briefly talk about difference between journal and conferences. This is mainly for a researcher who have not used any database. You have not read any paper. You don't know what's the difference between these two. We will briefly discuss open access. Manuscript preparation, I'll quickly go through it because we have a template for you to refer to. And again, I'm not going to read the slides for you. I will spend some time on the submission and peer review process. We'll also briefly share with you on the overall journey as an author. What are the things you need to watch out, especially if you are submitting to open access journals? I have to warn you, this is a lot of information. That's why you need to prioritize what are the things that make sense to you. For example, if you are familiar with open access, then this discussion about open access publishing options, you can briefly follow me on that. But if let's say you do have questions or you are curious about the submission and peer review process, then you may need to spend more time on this. This is number one. I would like to warn you. Number two, this whole sharing session is just an information. It doesn't mean that after today, after 12 p.m., 12 noon, suddenly, you have all the ideas to submit to IEEE and your paper will be accepted. Unfortunately, no. What I'm sharing now is only the mechanical procedures. To be very honest, 80% of whether your paper will be accepted or rejected is depending on your research, which is your research topic, your research method, your research output. It has not that much about how well your English is. You need to have very solid research topic. That's why if you are new to the whole idea of using academic databases about IEEE Explore, you need to start with reading. Don't worry about writing. You should spend more time on reading. You should spend more time on understanding and learning about research itself. Research methods, research design, research process, research management. That is the core that defines the quality of your research output. Then, once you have a quality research output, today's information comes into play, which is how to prepare your paper, prepare your manuscript. IEEE has a long history. We started in 1884 as American Institute of Electrical Engineers, 1912, Institute of Radio Engineers, 1963. They become the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers. Now, although it's called an institute, it's not actually a school or university. The way it organizes like this. So for example, if you are a student, you can join IEEE as a student member. Just now we have friends who are interested in AI as well as power and energy, right? So in IEEE, we have all these kind of what we call societies. In total, there's 39 of them. So for example, if you are interested in AI, we do have Artificial Intelligence Society. That helps for you to have a wider network to know who are the other researchers working on AI. And these technical societies, they will organize workshops, they will organize conferences, and the societies are the ones that publish journals. As an author, one of the commonly asked questions is, oh, I have a research paper. Which journal should I submit to? Do you have this question? You're asking about which journal should I submit to? Well, in this case, your question is not about which journal. Your question is about what society covers the research related to your research areas. For example, if your research is on AI, you are not asking, oh, which journal covers AI? No, 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 don't ask that question. Your question is what society is publishing research work related to AI. For example, if my research is on AI related to autonomous vehicles, self-driving cars, and the AI is about battery management on EV. Well, in that case, of course, Artificial Intelligence Society is covering this subject. Computer Society is covering. We have a Vehicular Technology Society is obviously about cars, right? Autonomous vehicles. Did we talk about battery? Well, Power Energy Society also covers this. So straight away, you have the option to select journals from at least 4 societies. And each society will publish multiple journals, and immediately you have more than 20 journals in your pocket. Next thing you need to do is analyze those 20 plus journals and find out which one is the most suitable one. That's how you select the journals. Last week we spent about time to discuss about the publications that is available in IEEE Explore, the journals, the conferences, the standard. And I did mention that most of the time as a student, as a researcher, you will read journals and conferences. The same, if you are publishing, you will publish journal and conferences. IEEE journals quality is very good. Top coverage, top quality. So which means if your paper is published with one of the top ranking IEEE journals, congratulations, the research quality and the researchers' quality is well recognized. And of course, we have new journals being published every year. We recommend you to submit to new journals as well. This serves as a new venue for you to publish your research work. And of course, we have new conferences. These are last year. This year, we also have, every year we have over 2,000 conference papers. Yeah. So since we are talking about journal and conferences, what's the difference? Conferences, if you are still working on your research, you can publish your research paper as a conference paper. If your research is completed, we recommend you to submit your paper as a journal paper. So in that case, you can report the final findings, the final conclusions. That's the big difference. So all you need to do is ask yourself, do I have the final solution? If the answer is yes, you can publish in both, either one. The choice is yours. But if your answer is no, I don't have the final answer, then in that case, you can only publish in sort of journals. You can't, conference. If you don't have your final answer, you can only publish in conference. That's the difference. The challenge for journals is highly competitive because the quality is good, right? Top ranking universities get a lot of competitions, a lot of students applying. The same for the journals. Conference, you need to present at the conference, and in that time, because you need to register and attend the conference, there might be a fee. So you need to work out with your professors and supervisors on this. This is the difference about IEEE Open Access program, the journals and the conferences. Sorry, the journals, traditional journal, hybrid open access, as well as full OA. So if you are publishing open access, you have 2 options. Either it's hybrid or full OA. The difference is hybrid is like hybrid cars. You have choices. You want to publish in traditional, non-OA? The answer is yes, we do provide it. If you want to publish in open access, we also provide the option. The full open access journal is like the full EV cars. There's no way you can pump the petrol in. It doesn't have a tank anymore. It's all battery, right? The full open access, every single article is open access. And because it's open access, you need to pay for this article processing charge. Now, I need to explain to you about this article processing charge. The article processing charge only happens after your paper is accepted. It doesn't mean that, oh, since I'm paying, does that mean that Guaranteed my paper will be accepted. No matter how good or how bad my paper is, well, since I'm paying, you have to accept my paper. No, that's not the case. We don't work that way. We don't care how much you want to pay. What we're looking for is the quality of your paper. So what happens is your paper will still go through the same peer review process, only if your paper is accepted, which means quality checked, QC checked. Then we will inform you, congratulations, your paper is accepted. Would you like to publish in open access? If the answer is yes, then you need to pay the article processing charge. I have to make this very clear because nowadays we are seeing more and more this kind of scams online. Sometimes you'll receive emails saying, "Dear Mr. Alex, we have a new journal launch. You pay as long as you pay $100, your paper will be published in our journals." If you ever receive those kind of emails, please put them in the spam folder. And please do not submit your paper to those kind of journals. Those kind of journals does not have a proper peer review process. They are after your money, not after the quality research. If you ever publish in those kind of journals, it's actually a black mark on your publication record. So please don't do that. And IEEE will never ask you for money at the beginning. No. We only talk about this. And for hybrid open access, you even have the option, right? If you still want to publish in non-open access, you don't want to pay the article processing charge, it still works. We'll still publish your paper, no problem. Be very careful, especially for those what we call the predatory journals. Open access has a lot of benefit: greater visibility, rapid peer review, a more clearer submission to publication time frame, etc. And we have this website. I will share the whole deck to our librarians. If you want a copy, you can ask from our library. On this website, you can find a list of all the IEEE journals, whether the journal has open access publishing options, what's the impact factor, what is the quartile. Now, one of the commonly asked questions is, I understand for some researchers, you need to publish in the so-called Web of Science or Scopus index journals. Well, if you are coming to IEEE, you don't have that question anymore, because every single IEEE journal, every single proper IEEE conference, they are all indexed in Web of Science or Scopus. So as long as you publish with IEEE, your paper will be indexed in IEEE, of course, in IEEE Explorer, as well as Web of Science and Scopus. Right? For more information, refer to these two websites. The manuscript preparation, I'm not going to read the slides. I'll just quickly highlight 1 or 2 points for each one of them. If you have read a paper, these are the basic components of the articles. And this slide pretty much summarizes everything you need to know. For example, for abstracts, you need to keep your abstract within 250 words. While the introduction is the part which you explain your goals. And when you are introducing the introduction, you need to explain your literature review, right? From where you get your background information, provide proper citations. So the whole article, starting from the title to the reference, when you are writing it, you have to keep in mind with one of the most important principles, which is this paper, which is written by you, in which the research is conducted by you, but the whole paper is not written for you. The paper is written for your readers. So when you're writing it, you have to write and ask yourself the question, if I am a reader, will I need more or less information based on what the author has written, and why? So that will tell you whether you should explain in further details or you should not explain in so much details. Because the most important question, starting from the title, is from the reader's perspective, is this article relevant to me? And when the reader is reading your introduction, reading your methodology, reading your conclusion, he will be asking the same question. And that's why in the beginning I'm telling you, reading is the most important. I don't know how much time have you ever think about what is your reading style. the style of your reading. Some people start reading from the abstract. Some people start reading from conclusions. Some people start reading from, for example, methodologies. Now I'm talking about the reading sequence. And how about the reading focus? Some people spend more time on the figures and diagrams. Some people spend more time on the reference list. And why? And what is your reading style? At different stage of your research, you will be reading your research paper in different manner as well. If you are at the stage of still trying to identify your research topic, how would you read the papers? Do you read every paper from top to bottom? If you are at the stage where you have sort of finished your experiment, you have collected your data, now your task is analyze the data, interpret the data. How and what portion would you be reading your new references to find new ideas? Will you still be reading the abstracts, or will you be spending more time to read the results and interpretation discussion portion? And what are you reading for? Are you actually reading for the data? Are you reading for the way the author explains or interprets the data or visualize the data? So at different stage of reading, different state of research, you will spend more or less time on different components of the articles to read for different purposes. The same goes for your readers. So when you are writing, keep your readers in mind. Right? The rest I will leave it for you to read: abstract, introduction, methods. If you have read any paper, even if it's a magazine article, you will get the ideas, right? What this portion is about, how you should use it. For example, in the methodology portion, you should use illustrations. As what they say, picture speaks like louder than words, or speaks thousand words. Right? One image, one flow chart explains a lot of information. The same goes for the results. Do not simply put all the numbers in a table. You may want to try to visualize it with a figure or even a graph that have more narratives. Easier for the readers. And of course, the purpose is to interpret the data. The discussions and the conclusions are linked together. And of course, there's a reference list. In the reference list, you should only include references that are directly related to the articles. To the article that has written. Now, of course, during your research process, you might have read 50, 80, 100 articles, but you don't need to include all the 80 articles in this reference list. Bear in mind, the reference list is for your readers. You should only include references which is related to what you have written in the article. The purpose of this list of references is to give your readers the idea where those information that you have described in this paper are coming from. If you have read some papers to build up your own understanding of the subject knowledge, those kind of papers are not required and you should not include it in the reference. Those references are for you, not for your readers. Another big or rather important portion of the whole article, right after the title, is you need to write your name, right? Your name and your institution. And talking about name, we have this thing called name ambiguity. For example, my English name is Alex Liu. This is such a common name in Singapore, in Hong Kong, in UK. I'm sure in other countries as well. So there's no way we can know who is who, right? How do I know this is the Alex from NTU in Singapore? Another one is the Alex from Hong Kong U in Hong Kong University in Hong Kong, right? So in that case, we need this thing called ORCID ID, which is Open Researcher and Contributor ID. This ORCID ID is like your passport number. Yes, we have people with the same name in different countries, but the passport number definitely are different. So when you take a flight or take a ferry, the custom will know, oh, this is Alex from Singapore. So this Open Researcher and Contributor ID, in short ORCID, is a free service. And if you are going to publish with IEEE, you need to inform us your name, your email address, your university, as well as your ORCID ID. We will need this. It's important. The next one, submission, I will do a live demo later to show you how to find the journal, submit to the journal and conferences. I will discuss with you on the peer review process first, because after your paper submitted, this is how the process works. There will be a pre-screening, which is talking about the checking on the topic as well as the format. The topic, you have to make sure the paper you submitted to that journal is is covered within the subject of the journal. Otherwise, it doesn't work, right? But if your format is different, you still have a second chance, because all you need to do is just reformat the paper and resubmit again, as long as the topic is relevant. But if the rejection is because of topic, there's no point to resubmit. So the reviewers will give the comments to editors, and editors will make a decision, accept, revise, or reject. The revision happens between the authors and reviewers. Sometimes it can go beyond 1 or 2 rounds, and with that, after a first round or second round of revision, then the editor will make the final decision whether it's accept or reject again. The only thing is, for conferences, generally the revision is not much. There's not much revision, because the sort of time frame given for the conference to review the paper and accept or reject the paper is generally pretty short, because the conference has a dedicated date for the conference to happen. While for journals, it can last for weeks or even months, because if you don't catch this volume or this issue, you can wait for the next issue to be published. While conference is only happening once for that particular conference, right? So why do editors and reviewers accept the paper or reject the paper? The number one important question is the scope. It's the same reason why universities are selecting students. For example, let's say I'm a big fan of MIT in US, one of the top technological universities. I always want to study in MIT. But I know MIT is not going to accept me, because my undergraduate and my postgraduate education, the score, the results, the GPA is not meeting MIT's requirement. MIT is looking for like 99.99 out of 100, but mine is only like 80 out of 100. So that's exactly the case when we are submitting to the journals. It's not because your research is wrong. No, most of the papers submitted to the journal, the research, they are all correct. But the level of the research, the impact of the research, the importance of the research, that is the one that distinguishes between the articles that are accepted by the top ranking journals and rejected by those journals. Because if the paper is published, or rather the readers who are reading top ranking journals, they are expecting to read top quality publications, impactful research, frontier research. So in that case, the editors and the reviewers, they are not only checking to make sure the research is accurate. No, that's a very, very bare minimum. What they are looking for is far beyond that. They are looking for importance, groundbreaking, impactful research according to the level of the journals. But of course, if you are submitting a paper to a tier 4 or the fourth quartile Q4 journal with a very, very low impact factor, which like not many people is being cited, then it's the same case. The editors and reviewers of those journals, they are looking for papers that are matching their level as well. So if you have done a groundbreaking, important research, we don't recommend you to submit to a Q4 journal either, because it's like, your GPA is 99.99 out of 100, but you are applying to a university somewhere in South America where nobody knows. That's a waste of your talent, isn't it? It's the same thing. So scope is the most important. Before you submit to the journals or conference, you need to know what the level of the journals or conference you are submitting to. While the rest, validity, data clarity, compliance, all of these, if you ask me, it's not about the paper. It's about the research. Whether the research is well designed, the research experiment or simulation is well designed, whether the research data is properly collected, analyzed, and interpreted, whether the compliance during the research process are rigorously followed, or whether the research itself, since the beginning, is based on original ideas, which is novelty. Paper are rejected for the same reason. The content is not a good fit. Now, we're not saying the content is wrong. No, we're just saying it's just not a good fit. But of course, if your research has problem, it's not even correct or even real. Some people, sometimes if you read the news from scientific communities, there are researchers from some particular some countries which is well known for fraudulent research, especially when it comes to biomedical research. They even fake the research data from the labs, and only after years, then other researchers, when they are trying to replicate the research, they realize there's no way they can do it because original data is not real, right? So that, if you ask me, is about the research. But of course, for us, English is a second language. So sometimes language does play a part, whether it's the language or the structure of the language, and sometimes even related to the structure of the whole paper. The good thing is we have nowadays a lot of tools to help you. I'm sure some of you have been using AI tools as well. We do have a dedicated AI policies on that. If you are using AI tools to help you to, especially on the language part, you need to make it clear, which I'll come to this point very soon. I'll briefly show you the author journey. You start with a plan to publish. This takes months or years. And this part requires your research, to be honest, right? After that, you submit your paper to the journals. Manuscript is reviewed by the editors and the peer review process, the reviewers. And after that, that's the peer review process. And with that, the final manuscript is accepted by the journal editors. And then if you want to publish in open access, that's where the red color comes in. If you do not want to publish in open access, the red color does not come in. It just follows the blue color, straightaway paper is published. But if you want to publish in open access, you need to finalize the APC payment. And this is the part where ma'am is sharing about the discount. Our university is getting a 15% discount. So in order to use that, you need to put in a proper university name. So in this case, I'm sure you are familiar, use the proper university name. Don't just say UTeM, right? It doesn't work this way. You need to spell in the whole proper name. And of course, you need to use authorized email address. Don't use your Gmail. Don't use your Hotmail. This is very important. And when you are talking about as part of the process, for hybrid journal, you will see this, and this happens after your paper is accepted. You'll be asked to choose open access. If the answer is yes, you want to choose open access, you will get a discount of 15%. If your answer is no, you don't want to publish in open access, you don't need to pay any single cent. Your paper is still published, but published as a traditional manner. This post acceptance, you will be communicated by email, so watch out for your email address. For your email box, there will be communications to explain to you the copyright agreement, the procedures, explanations. You just need to read the email. That's all you need to do. All right? Ethical publishing, please do not copy and paste. It's wrong. And if you have one paper, please do not submit to multiple places. You just submit to one place, wait for the paper to be accepted. That's it. And we do have an AI policy, which I think I need to spend some time on this, which is the use of content generated by AI in any article, including not limited to text, figure, image, and code, should be disclosed in an acknowledgement section. And you need to explain the AI system that is used, the very specific sections. You cannot say, oh, AI tools has been used. No, you need to tell us AI tools is used in which section, paragraph, which paragraph, what line to what line, what images, what figures, what tools are used. And of course, the level the AI tools is being used. If you are saying, oh, I use the AI tools to design, help me to design the experiment, well, to be honest, that's true. That should not even happen in the first place. Yes, AI tool can do a lot of things. It can help you to find the latest trend, helping you suggest you topics or research, and even propose solutions for the research topic that it has suggested for you. But our question is, yes, AI tools can do all these. So what are you doing here? What is your contribution to this research as a researcher? That is the most important question, rather than having AI tools to help you to solve the problems. Believe me, as a student, as a researcher, if you have tools to use from the publisher side, we have much, much more advanced tools than what you have in hand to see whether the solution, the research is designed or interpreted by AI platforms. It's the same as last time, students and researchers, they are doing the plagiarism checking using Turnitin. There's a percentage, right? It's the same. You have one tools at the publisher side. They use at least 3 tools to check. And their tools is the paid version, much, much more advanced functions to actually detect what are the ones that are actually coming from common language, what are the ones that is actually coming from other publications. Yeah, the same for AI tools. So yes, AI tools are useful tools, but they should not replace your novelty of the research. So that's the thing I'd like to share. One last thing I would like to share is this IEEE Author Center. This is actually an all-in-one information page about, as an author, what you need to know. What are the things you need to know? For example, we have a template selector, which you can download the template. We also have publication recommender, and from there you can submit to the journals. And this is a good time for you to quickly demonstrate to you how to use this IEEE Author Center, as well as a live demo of the paper submission process. So let me stop sharing now. And I will bring you to IEEE Explore. Sorry, to IEEE Author Center. So let me just give me 1 minute. IEEE. Okay, let me start sharing now. Okay. So of course it's good if you can remember the URL. If not, at least the name. And that's all you need, like what I'm doing now. All you need to do is just search IEEE Author Center. The first one is the one.
Sorry, Mr. Alex.
Yes.
Okay. One request from our chat box. Okay, from PM Dr. Muhammad Herman. Request you to turning on your camera.
Oh, there's a bandwidth issue. That's why I'm turning off.
Okay.
I realize there's a heavy lag, especially when I'm doing the demo. That's why I turn it off. Yeah, sorry about
It's
that.
okay.
So this is the IEEE Author Center. As you can see, we explain about writing, peer review, publication, and we have dedicated section for new authors, journal author, conference author, book author, magazine author. So I would recommend, especially if you are new, check out this portion. This will give you background information about writing for journals, magazines, books, conferences. And of course, we have authoring tools available. If you are writing, if you're typesetting in LaTeX, we have Overleaf. And what I'm trying to share with you is this one. Sorry. Right, you can also directly find and load the template from the publication you're planning. We have this article, IEEE template selector. Right, IEEE template selector. Click on this. And this is a platform where you can download the templates, whether it's journal or conference. Transactions and name. Let's say I'm going to IEEE transactions on big data. Yes. So if you know which journal you are submitting to, as you can see, original research, LaTeX or PDF, depending on the format, just download the template. The template is downloaded in a zip file. You can just open it and use that to help you to format the paper. Another useful tool is this one, find the right publication, which is what we call IEEE Publication Recommender. This is very useful in a lot of ways. One way is, okay, if I'm trying to do a research, my research is on, let's say, AI, right? Artificial intelligence, I can do a recommendation, but you realize, wow, IEEE has over 200 journals which is related to AI. To be very honest, this is not helpful. How can I find the most important one? So what's the problem? The problem is the keyword I'm using is too broad. AI can be about anything. AI related to power and energy, AI related to big data, AI related to autonomous vehicles, related to signal processing. So what exactly? So in this case, you need to use specific keywords. Or if I were you, I will recommend the second option, extract keywords from your article. If you have a template, or even if you have draft of your article, you can upload your draft here. They will extract the keywords. They will provide a shorter list of suggestions. Another thing is I want to check out this open access availability, whether open access is available for publishing if I want to publish in this journal. Like for transactions on technology and society, they do have open access available. Impact factor, and also this one, submission to publication time. Especially for master students, you have a certain time frame to work in, so you may want to check out this one. But if for a PhD, you are okay for this kind of time. Master, to be honest, I don't think I want to submit to this because it turns out I need to wait for almost a year to get my results. Some researcher might be asking, why does it take so long? Well, simply because in this particular subject, this is a top ranking journal. That's always the case. The peer review period is longer. Top ranking journal peer review period tends to be longer. They have other tools available, sharing your code. ORCID, they will explain to you on this. And of course, for journal authors, if you are creating your articles, you have dedicated authoring tools, and they even have videos to explain to you how to write your paper, best practices, and everything. So in this case, please make use of this website. If you forget everything I told you today, which is fine, as long as you remember there's this website here, that's good enough. You just come here, read, search, watch, and use these tools. It's very important. The next website I'd like to show you is actually here, IEEE Explore Digital Library. And this is the part which I'm going to show you the submission process. So in this case, for example, I'll show you the journals first. So you scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page. You have this upcoming conference, 1, 2, 3. See all upcoming. This is the full list of IEEE journals. It has everything you need of IEEE conference around the year, around the clock. Every day, you will see the number will be changing. Yesterday, when I checked, the number I think is 1838. So overnight, there's another 12 conference being added. Now it's 1850. You can search by using keyword, let's say smart grid, right? So you can see 81 conference is related to smart grid. This is by using keyword. There's another way of searching, which is based on refinement of conference date. You can customize next 6 months, or you can customize the conference date range, or another one which is commonly used is the location. If I scroll down to Malaysia is one of the countries with the most number of conference, and I believe one of the reasons is the kind hospitalities of our people, and of course the dynamic culture, and I definitely believe it's a good food. So as you can see, we already have 46 conferences going to happen in Malaysia, and as we speak, in one week's time, right? This is literally next week. Next weekend is going to happen in KL, Penang, KL, JB, Penang, Cyberjaya, Shalam, and if you scroll down, Yes, see, this is happening in Malacca. And if you scroll down, JB again, KL. So all these conferences are IEEE conference, which means if you publish this kind of conference in, uh, if you publish a paper in this kind of conference, the paper will be indexed in IEEE Explorer and of course Web of Science and Scopus. What I'm looking for is this thing called conference website. Just click on it. Oops, oh, this is a bad example. IEEE our laptop has a very uh, strong safety feature. It blocks some website. Let me just find another one. Hopefully this works. Yeah. Okay. So for this kind of conference website, you should look for information for authors. It has all the information you need as an author. Important date. Submission, author notification, deadline. Remember I was explaining to you during the peer review process for journals, there can be one round of conference revision, even 2 rounds of revision, even 3 rounds of revision. But for conference, they may not have that much time. Why? Deadline for submission, acceptance, they only have 1 month. 4 weeks. Working days, only 20 working days. They need to review all the papers and they need to decide for every single paper whether it's a yes or no. So that's why for conferences, generally, there's maximum is 1 round of revision. Unless we are talking about those well known global conferences like ISSCC, GlobalCom, those kind of conference where the paper submission deadline is like 6 months before the conference. Then in that case, there may be 1 round or 2 rounds of revision. Otherwise, not much. It's a straight away yes or no. How do you submit your paper? There's an online submission process. You have all the guidelines, what kind of format you have to. There's a web page. All you have to do is click on it. You don't have an account, just create an account. It's a very simple process. Create an account, follow the procedure. If you know how to send the email, you have no problem of submitting the paper. And of course, there's always a submission guideline. What are the requirements? And the conference submission. This is pretty much the article templates, right? As you can see, conference template A4. And they also have this paper template in a dedicated section here, which you can manuscript template. If you are typesetting in Word, you have the Word format. Typesetting in LaTeX, you have a LaTeX. The template is available here. So that's for conferences. How about for journals? Well, still very simple. You can browse journals and magazines. This is a list of all the IEEE journals. It's a long list. You can just find the one whichever that you're interested in, just click on it. It will bring you to what we call the journal's homepage. You see, submit manuscript is here. That's it. Again, log in, submit your paper. As simple as that. Remember in the beginning, I was sharing with you, when it comes to IEEE, the question is no longer about which journal should I submit to. The question is what societies are relevant to these journals. Now, let me explain to you what do I mean by that. This is the IEEE transactions, automation, science, and engineering. If you look at this about journal section here, it will explain to you about the aim and scope, publishing choices, and all the details here. There is this sponsored by IEEE Robotics and Automation Society. This is a hyperlink. Click on it. It brings you to this IEEE Robotics and Automation Society homepage. And from this web page, you will be able to find what conferences this society is organizing, upcoming conference or workshops, as well as what publications they are publishing. These are the different. This is robotics and automation letters, robotic automation magazine, transactions on automation, and this is, let me click on it, right. Transact automation, science, and engineering, right? That's the one we're talking about, and there are other ones as well. So each one of them, you can read more details, as well as other informations, impact factors, archives, and all this. So that's how you submit to the journals. Of course, the journal website, again, the same process, log in. You create an account, log in, you'll be able to submit your papers. Okay, I think I pretty much cover all the things I'd like to share. So let me, oops, did I close that? No, these are the questions that you have responded before. So this is what I mean by $1 million question, right? So let me just close this. Tips and tricks, get accepted. Follow the article templates. Make sure your paper is properly formatted. Before you submit to the journal, you have to know what the journal is about. Again, let me show you one thing. Let's say my research is related on AI and Internet of Things, right? So what I'm looking for existing publications on these subjects. And of course, you can add additional keywords. This is 27,000. Right? As you can see, while I'm typing, let's say I'm interested on my research, let's assume it's on this particular topic. So I'm looking for these publications. I'm going to submit to a journal. So the researcher asking about tips and tricks how to get accepted. It's not about how to get accepted. The whole idea of submitting to the paper, getting accepted is like you are running for a race, whether it's marathon or short range 5 km race. There are two things you need to know. One is you need to know your capacity. For example, I know myself, just to it's just for fun. I'm a lazy person. I know I can't run for marathon racing. 42 kilometers is crazy. For me, if anything above, I think 8 kilometers, I will be lying on the floor already. So definitely I'm not going to go for the game. Number two, you need to know your competitors. Who are your competitors? Your competitors are those people who already won the marathon, who has won the race. So these are the papers that has been accepted. So what we are going to do right now is we need to read the paper and we need to ask a simple question, which is asking myself, am I on par of this with these researchers? Is my research about the same level of this particular or these papers that are already accepted by this journal? So for example, I want to submit to this journal. Should I submit to this journal? Is this journal a good candidate? How do I get my paper accepted to this journal? All the answers to these kind of questions relies within the readings. If I read this paper, it's a piece of cake. I flip from first page to last page. I finish it with a cup of coffee. I understand everything. Well, then in that case, this is a very simple journal. I mean, this is a very simple paper. And I keep reading these kind of publications. I realize, wow, it looks like this journal, the paper published accepted in this journal are too simple for me. Then in that case, I won't even recommend you to submit to this journal. You should aim for something higher. But if you realize, seems like, this kind of journal has a lot of quality research, which I do need to spend some time. I need to read the paper 3 times, 5 times to understand about it. Then in that case, you need to give it a second thought whether you should submit to this journal. So I'm sure you get the ideas. It's not about getting accepted. It's about knowing ourselves and knowing our competitors, right? And thanks to IEEE Explore, you know who are your competitors because all these winning so-called champions, the paper already accepted, right? So that's for that. Let's go through some other questions. Okay, all you have to do is publish your paper. Reach to people who need to or interested with it. That part you don't have to worry much because IEEE Explore will be doing a proper indexing and will make it available to journals and conferences. To Web of Science Scopus, Google Scholar, those kind of indexing services. so that researchers can, when they are searching, they can find your paper and of course read your paper, hopefully cite your paper. What are the things IEEE offer better than other publications? I would say quality is number one. And number two is the widespread of information, which means once you publish with IEEE, whether it's journal or conference, the paper will be indexed in IEEE Explore. It will be indexed in Scopus, Web of Science, Google Scholar, which means researchers across the world, they will be able to find the papers. It's not about, it's about, I would say it's more like meeting IEEE requirement. So in that case, we are talking about using the templates to help you to format the paper. How to deal with the outcome is handling reviewers' questions. For handling reviewers' questions, basically is number one, don't take it personally. The reviewer is not questioning your credibility of you as a researcher. No, he's just asking for more information about the research that you described in the paper. You might miss out something. That's why sometimes the reviewer's question might be a little bit specific or rigorous, but we treat it professionally. Don't take it personally. Just respond as a researcher. Number two, do not rush into replying. Let's say today you receive an email asking from the reviewer, asking you to explain or answer 5 questions. You don't straight away, yes, I'm a fast researcher. You spend 1 hour finishing all the replies, straight away hit reply. Please don't do that. Yes, I know you work very fast, you get all the answers, but you type out your response, you save it in the draft folder first. Tomorrow you come back again, you read your response. You read the question again, you read your response as well. Then you think about it. Did I answer the questions? Did I offer what the reviewer is looking for? And of course, you may also want to discuss this with your supervisor as well. But of course, you don't delay for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks to respond. That's a little bit too late, right? Right, I think this pretty much summarized my whole session. Don't do's and do not preparations, manuscript formatting tips. Again, the answer to this question actually relies within your reading. So when you are reading the paper, now most of the time when we are reading the paper, we are reading as a learner, as a student, as a learner, as another researcher who is going to learn something from the paper. We are learning in terms of the content. Next time, you try to read from a different perspective. Yes, you can still read the paper as a learner, but we are learning how did the author write the paper in terms of writing, in terms of structure. Then you read the paper as if you are the reviewer and you ask these 2 questions. Is this a good paper? What does it have? Why is this a good paper? If I am a reviewer, am I going to accept the paper? Am I going to respond with reviewer questions? What reviewers' questions am I going to ask as a reviewer? And what kind of response am I expecting for the authors to respond to it? This is like doing your past year exam papers when you are doing your undergraduate studies or in your high school or secondary school, isn't it? Before we go for the actual exam, we do the past year exam papers just to see what is our level. The same here. I think I pretty much answered the questions. The rest are the same. The motivations, I think the motivation should come from you, right? Because if you are a researcher, you are a student, getting a paper published means a lot. Yeah. It shows the credibility of you as a researcher. Now, research and study are 2 totally different things. Study means you read or learn information or knowledge that has been created, while research is about creating new knowledge. These are totally different things, right? Finding journals, we share about this. The rest, I believe we pretty much covered it. How to make a good citation for paper published. This part, please refer to your library. Ask our librarians. Our librarian actually organize workshops regarding reference management. We actually have softwares which will help you to manage the references. Yeah. Okay. I think that's all. Okay, there's this one about payment or cost. I think I mentioned about the APC cost when it comes to the open access publishing. It's one of the very commonly asked questions. How much does it cost to publish with IEEE? The answer is you can publish with IEEE for free as long as you publish in the traditional manner, which means you don't publish in open access. But if you want to publish in open access, then in that case, you have to pay for a fee. The hybrid journal, if you remember, I was sharing with you, most of our journals are still hybrid. You have the option to publish your paper for free. You don't need to pay anything. Yeah. Only if you want to choose to publish in open access, that's where you need to pay. And this is also a good time I show you the other website, which I mentioned in the presentation, which is IEEE Open. In this website, it has all the information for authors, what's the author benefit, article processing charges, additional resources. We have FAQs. If you're not familiar with open access, remember in the beginning, about half of us were saying you heard of it, but you don't know much about it. Please come to here, read the FAQ questions. It will explain to you in details what the difference and all this, your answer are all provided here. And I mentioned about this IEEE title list. This is a title list which you can find about whether this journal has open access, whether it's full open access or hybrid, the impact factor, the quartile, and everything. All right. So that is what I have for today. Let's stop sharing and let's see if there's any questions. All right. If there's no question, I'll pass the mic to ma'am and let's see if there's any additional follow-ups. All right, ma'am, I'll pass the mic to you.